Listen, he's having no trouble.
Could you say it again?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am here today with the controversial director. You might know him from his previous work, The Wet Ones. He's here to tell us exclusively about his brand new film, The Wizard of Oz. We're here with none other than Wigwolf. Now,
Hey, oh, do I say something now or?
oh yeah, we're going, baby. That was
All
your
right, yeah.
introduction. We're live and
Going.
free. You guys can see The Wet Ones on Tubi. You can see some of his work. It's extremely artistic and very imaginative and creative. Not for the faint of heart. I suggest having a good time with some friends and checking it out if you're unfamiliar with today's artist. So your new film, let me check. I got some notes here. First of all, let me say something, all right? What's your name?
Oh,
Because
my
I ain't
real
sitting
name?
here making you call me Peter Pan, you know what I mean? So I don't want to just call you Wigwolf unless that's what you appreciate the most.
Oh, well, yeah. My real name's Jeff, so I mean, you can call me that.
Jeff. Okay, Jeff. You can call me W. Awesome. How'd you get the idea for The Wizard of Oz?
Um, I don't. It was just kind of random. After I did the wet ones, I was trying to think of different ideas for a movie, and then I just thought it would be cool to pick like an old public domain story, and I had several like Tests of the D'Urbervilles, and um, I think a Tennessee Williams play I wanted to do, and then I just decided on the Wizard of Oz, like kind of because I knew that I could like mess around with it a lot, and like since it's been done so many times, I could like do something different, like a different take on it.
Like The Wiz.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, like the Wiz with Michael Jackson. Yeah.
Yeah, they did a real different take on it. Well, I think for 2023, this is pretty wild. I thought it was pretty clever to call it The Wizard of Oz and to go with that theme. I watched it earlier today. It's pretty wild, pretty cool movie. Looks like it was a lot of fun to make.
Oh yeah, it definitely was. Yeah, it was fun. I mean, there were some issues, but mo- overall, it was pretty fun though. I
So,
mean,
wh- how do you go about filming your movies? What is your practice that you use? What have you found works best to get that raw emotion out on the screen?
I just find, I mean, when I did the wet ones, it was mostly just me alone, so I wasn't directing actors, and I was doing all the voices and having to like switch between characters, and but since I already like kind of knew what I was gonna do, it was very easy to like do everything, and since it was mostly dolls too, it's very easy with like framing shots and controlling everything because it's on a small scale. It's not like you need a drone or like anything. But I mean, mainly for the Wizard of Oz, my main thing was like I was using like pretty easy point and shoot cameras that I'd worked with a lot, so I like knew how they'd look in every situation, and I was mostly using GoPros and then a Sony CX405 camcorder, and so that's the main thing is just kind of like, and I only do handheld, so like I don't really have to like spend time with setups because I'm always holding the camera. But I usually just try to plan and make everything so it's like as easy as possible to like get it done and get everything I need, and I don't have to like stress. So that pretty much works for me, just trying to make it easy and like definitely not being a perfectionist. Like as you can see in the movie, there's a few spots where like I didn't come away with usable footage and I kind of had to like, work around it. Like, and some parts are probably overexposed and there was just kind of like a few shots I didn't have any other footage to use. So I just had to use it.
Yeah, it gives you that raw kind of experimental tone. Sometimes those little disasters could be little blessings. So you got to go with it. I understand that. So was this all filmed in Texas?
Yeah, all Texas, like all very close to my house. Like I made sets in my garage, so a lot of the indoor scenes are in the garage or in a room in my house, and then everything else is in a swamp that's like a 5-minute walk for me, where you can just kind of walk down a path until you get into the swamp. And I had written the script specifically for the swamp in that area because I was like, this is a good spot. No one's out here, and it kind of looks cool.
Oh,
So
very cool.
so that was like, and I think that might have contributed to me wanting to do the Wizard of Oz thing because, I was like would go out and get high and just walk around in the swamp, and it kind of felt like a fairy tale place when you're high, you know.
Very cool. What is your deep rooted connection with the delicious drink Tang?
Um, I don't know. It's just something. I mean, I grew up in the '80s, like, because I was born in 1980, and as a kid, I mean, pretty much as early as I can remember, my mom was making me a glass of Tang in the morning. So once I got old enough to make it myself, I'd make it and just started making it ridiculously strong to the point where it's just kind of like a sludge that I'd eat like candy. And I just got really obsessed with that flavor and color, and I don't know. And then I've just always loved anything like orange Tic Tacs, like orange high C, pretty much anything with that fake orange flavor and the color
Now,
orange.
there's a
All
lot
my
of
favorite sports teams growing up, the Mets and the Knicks, had that same shade of orange, so it's just kind of always been like a color I've been exposed to.
nice.
Like I grew
Does
up
a
right
lot of
near
your
Shea Stadium, so like the Mets were like a big deal.
does a lot of your childhood and your past does that influence and come through in your artwork and movies?
Yeah, it definitely does. I mean, everything in the stories and characters and things are almost always taken from some random thing in my life. I kind of like to take really trivial, stupid things that I've been I'll be butthurt about some stupid thing a friend did 20 years ago, and I'll be like, yeah, that guy Ben, I remember when he did that, and then I kind of like to transfer it into the movie characters, and it always seems kind of funny, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You're mad that somebody ate your Doritos that you told them not to eat, and you put that in a more dramatic situation, and it just seems kind of stupid and funny.
Yeah, that's entertainment. That's great. Anytime you can pull from a direct reference like that. So, how's Wet Ones doing? How's it? What was the reactions like so far for that? What are your numbers? Is it streaming? Is it getting it? Where's it going? What's it doing? How'd it do?
Um, it's done up and down. I wouldn't say it did great, but through me self-distributing, mainly through Film Hub and random stuff. I had the Italian company Amoeba Films do a special edition DVD, and they'll be selling it in stores in Italy for 5 years because that was the deal I signed. And and then I also have streaming on Tubi and Plex, and just got on Cineverse recently, but I don't see it up there yet, but it's supposed to be. And Film Hub, pretty much every other week they'll put you on some new random service, so you never know what it's going to be. A lot of them are pretty dead, but most of the royalties and views I get, I'd say, come from Plex and Tubi, and Tubi is
Nice.
definitely the best.
And what are your aspirations to do with the Wizard of Oz? Do you got any offers, or do you have a plan, or where's it going? Where's it gonna premiere, release, or?
So far, I'm going to be doing the self distribution with DVDs and a limited run of VHS tapes, and then I'm also waiting on Film Hub to see what streaming services they'll get me on. Hopefully Tubi, because I think that's been pretty good for exposure. And
Nice.
I've yeah, and that's about it now. And then somebody was talking about doing a screening at a theater in Brooklyn, so I'm waiting to hear about when that's going to be. And otherwise, just trying to do interviews and get reviews, and I guess just see where it goes, through word of mouth. I mean, I always just try to do DIY, and I don't want to sign with distributors and be locked into
Yeah.
anything usually. Like I know people have had some bad experiences releasing, and they told me about it, and I was like, you have to be careful with distributors.
Yeah, it sucks. We have a film coming out on Wild in September, and I can't even be excited because I'm so scared if we're even going to see a dime of that until our contract runs out and we just take it back over. They did pretty much a shit job on promoting it thus far. Like pre-orders are live right now, and it's just, but yet they spend all this time on like fucking Toilet Shark Part 5 or whatever. It's really kind of disheartening.
Yeah, the shark stuff seems to like do really well. Like every other movie now is like shark something.
Yeah,
I
but
feel,
is it doing well? You know what I mean? I think it's just greedy distributors snatch him up. But I
yeah, I
mean,
feel like
is anyone getting paid for their movies? You know what I mean? That isn't
yeah,
self-distributing right now. Like I
yeah,
haven't
that's the
heard
thing.
anyone say, "Oh my God, this company's so great," and that's everything from Lionsgate to Shudder to Netflix. No one's happy. No one's happy with what they're getting for their movies. So it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I mean that's why. I mean, I like Film Hub. Like, I mean, I always tell people to do it. It was started by Werner Herzog, cinematographer, and like, he's very anti-Hollywood and like anti-corporate, and it's really about giving full control to the filmmaker.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of tedious submitting, but a lot of people just get put off by the like submission process, uploading files and subtitles, but it's not so difficult.
What's coming up? What's your next idea? What's your next film after you get this thing pushed and promoted and out there?
The next thing I'm doing, it's kind of it's going to be like a smaller project that will be mostly with like dolls, and it's with my Kate Middleton doll, and it's kind of like a dramatic like story about her being in the hospital after her best friend ends up in a coma after she dares him to eat a slug, and it like puts a parasite in his brain, and the
Oh,
movie's just kind of like she's in the hospital with him all the time and she feels guilty like it's her fault, and then this snail who's in the hospital just starts harassing her, and like it kind of like it's revealed why sort of, and it just kind of like escalates into this like just stupid, like really stupid. Like the snail has a boyfriend who's a gay male model who's in a coma also, and they're both kind of like mourning these people in the hospital while harassing each other. It's I don't know, it's kind of hard. Like I think once you can see a visual of it, it will make more sense. Like
yeah, no, that sounds fun, man. This is gonna be like a short that you're gonna crank out between productions type of thing.
yeah, I mean it will be probably about the same length as the Wizard of Oz, and like I don't know how long it will take, but I think I probably get it done pretty quick because the Wizard of Oz was my first time doing like live action on a full scale, so it kind of like had a learning curve. So I feel like now I like have it down better, so I can be more efficient.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like I
You'll
think I'll
notice.
probably storyboard a little bit this time because like last time was all improvised, and like now I think like I kind of prefer to have some more plan in advance for the shots.
Very cool. Were you at this? What was it last weekend or the weekend before? Were you at the Houston Horror Film Festival?
Oh yeah, yeah, I went there because Janice Click, who made Fish Piss and McMurderer, I had a table there last year and ended up being next to them, and so we made friends and hung out. And they were coming back this year, so they told me if I could put some stuff on their table for free. So like I went there to hang out and stuff.
Hell yeah,
I saw some
hell yeah.
DVDs.
Those guys are cool.
That's
Yes,
what
that
you're
would be
doing a
cool.
Critters movie, right?
Yep, yep. We film next month. Yeah,
Is that the one Janice Click is going to cameo in?
yeah, yeah.
Oh wow, what are they going to do? Play victims?
They're in the restaurant. Yeah, there's like this big restaurant scene uh, where it all goes down at, and they're gonna all get. He's gonna actually get killed and stuff in it too.
So are you making all the critters yourself?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. We've been. Yeah, we've been. I could go get Robbie and have him show you a couple. I'll be right back. Well, hey, how's it going,
Hey, what's up,
guys?
man? How's it going?
Long time no see, Jeff. How are you? Hope the old man's being nice to you guys.
Yeah,
Ah,
cool.
so someone say something about critters?
Oh wow, that's badass. You made that? How? So is that silicon?
No, these are latex.
Oh, okay.
This is the Commander Krite. He's like the lead, smartest Krite. He kind of leads the ship. And then we've got about 4 or 5 um, other unique Krites that haven't ever been like seen or used in shit before. Like one of them's name's Boyle, and he's got like some green to him, and he's got little like weird herpes bumps and stuff. And one's got a mohawk, and he's pretty cool and has his own personality. One's got kind of like these stripes on him. His name's Skidmark. Uh, we got one named Red. He's got a little red to him. And then like a blackie, like from the original. But then see what's different about our critters is they have like a fucking like a alpha critter emperor guy, like a Palpatine that's like survived all these battles and shit. He's all wise and stuff, and he's like they like, oh, it's the their highest dude. So he's like the emperor and stuff. So he's a new character too. We're introducing him. We figured we want some type of balance because you got the Xanti character, which is like the Grand Supreme for the bounty hunters and stuff. And even though they're kind of anti-hero-ish, they're the good guys. They're like the light side. So I figured we're just trying to give them a lot of personality, so they're not just like these little things that roll around and eat and shit. We want them to. I enjoyed how the second movie, how they talked. They would be like, and then it would say like "fuck off, dickhead" or whatever, in subtitles. So we want to really embrace that whole thing.
Yeah, the second movie, that one's my favorite one. Oh,
Yes. So our film is one of those fucking trendy legacy sequel things like Halloween did, and like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre for Netflix attempted to do. It ignores part 3, 4, 5, 6, and then that other bullshit, everything that came after. It's a direct sequel, but 35 plus years later from the second movie. so it's fun because we think too that's like our favorite version is the second movie, but there's little bits of lore from all the movies in it. Like we have our little fetus fucking Krite guys, the babies that are all slimy and shit. This one's unpainted, but it's like a little foam rubber thing. And then this is the one that bites a guy in it. Ah, fuck, get it off my nose. Yeah. But so those guys were shown in like part 4, I think, the real boring space one, but they were adorable. So like we have them in this. This is an unpainted one too. We got little hand puppets of them and shit. It's gonna be a real slimy, fucking gross one. But we're gonna try to have fun with it. And we're gonna make it as gory as possible. You'll probably have to even for a Critters movie, which is funny because it's gonna be cute and funny too. But like we're gonna make the kills like there won't be a lot of like camera panning away kills. We're gonna see the like skin come off and shit. Still be endearing as much as we can, but I want to see those impact shots because we rarely got those in Critters movies. I feel like they did a lot of the cheats, which I'm a big fan of normally. But with this, I really want to show the like little animal mouse like ripping like people's skin. I think that's important to me. So when it goes on YouTube, you'll probably have to do the thing saying, I am 18 years old.
yeah, I forgot what else. Yeah, there's Monster Squad, and then I forgot what
Oh,
other.
there's so many.
Are You Afraid of the Dark? That was like.
That was awesome. You
I
can't
saw
do that on television was awesome.
Yeah, I like that stuff too because that wasn't even like horror, but just that like completely like insane, surreal shit. Like if you watch like
Yeah,
old clips of You Can't Do That on television, it feels like some kind of like avant-garde like art stuff. Like it's just so like off the wall with like the
yeah.
locker room jokes and the bar
But we just
restaurant.
had, oh yeah, it was way ahead of its time for
Like I
sure.
wish that could be
Uh,
rebooted somehow.
Fuck, they would ruin it, but that would be so cool. Because people have no idea what I'm talking about when I bring that up, you know. Like, but we had these fantasy movies that had horror elements to them,
Like
like
the peanut
fucking like
butter solution, you remember that?
yeah, but like Willow and like Legend and all this stuff, and like there isn't really a lot of that now. It's like all just Disney CGI bullshit, or it's like hardcore horror, or you turn on TV and it's all shaking your ass and selling cars. They don't have a lot of that kind of magic that we had. So I'm gonna try to bring that back, like old moonbeam shit, like Prehistoria. Like we got a movie about a talking fucking fish that's magical, hilarious movie. You know what I mean? We've got some shit set up for next year. We're gonna still do the horror movies and the silly shit that we do, but we're gonna counterbalance that with some really cool, different family films too. But yeah, Critters, that's all love. Be really interesting if something comes out of it, you know. It's gonna be cool. Everything looks cool for it. So the Slug movie is gonna be your next thing, and Wizard of Oz, you're getting it out there now, trying to get some buzz for it. Um, I recommend it. I give it about 7.5 out of 10, guys. It's super creative. This one's more violent. It even has some gross parts in it. There's some cool looking stuff. There's some great colors. You know, like it. Toto is ridiculously funny. He kind of steals the show.
Oh yeah, he does. That guy's really cool in real life. Like I see him pretty regularly.
Nice. So I show up first day on set of a Wigwolf film. What do I go through? What happens to me next? Hey, how's it going, Jeff Wigwolf? Where do I set my stuff down? I'm ready to shoot.
Well, last time, since it was mostly in my house, usually, people come in and then I had like a snack tray with like salami and crackers and a bunch of different soda and beer. And then they get in their costume and get dressed. And then depending if we're going to go in my garage or have to walk down to the swamp, we'll do that, and that's usually just me carrying like a milk crate full of like all the special effects and then also carrying two cameras, one in each hand, and a backpack full of extra stuff like batteries and extra cameras and so it's pretty much just like, one man crew, just
Uh-huh.
like whatever actors are around.
I always visualize that picture of the guy with the drums and the guitar. He's like got all the instruments on him, and it's like produced by, written by, edited by, directed by. Uh,
Yeah.
because we've tried it a bunch of different ways, and we move so much faster, and it's so much better if I have 4 or less crew members. We used to have like 16 and 20, and like half these guys are just laying around the set in the way, like leaving bottles on their phones. It's like, what the fuck? And you end up doing like 10 jobs anyway. Why people watch you? So we realized that I boiled it down to just the 4, like what we needed, you know. And luckily, we have an audio guy that knows how to do a bunch of other shit too. So like between me and him and our most recent thing that's been extremely helpful that I've been using the past couple movies is a script supervisor. That takes away that responsibility from me, and now I could like get more into like how's everything look, what do we need to do, and talk to the actors, and not worry about what the next word is because it's this guy's responsibility now. That has helped me tremendously, and now we've introduced a focus puller in something I've never ever fucked with before or had. I was like one of the only people that wasn't really using one of those for features. I was just doing it half the time. I was running the camera on most of this shit too. Um, But now we're gonna have like a really good focus puller guy, because like I have this vision of how I want these next couple projects to look like. So we're gonna kind of experiment with that a little bit with critters.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Doing the focus pulls, that's pretty like old school.
Right?
Like Basic Instinct. I remember last time I saw that, I noticed it was like constantly pulling focus. Like pretty much any time an actor switched who was talking, they'd like always blur out the other actor.
Yeah, I was watching something, and I've even seen just like literal porno films that are just completely super duper in focus. Like, sure, the lighting's bad for a movie, but I was like jealous because I've like seen people do shit with like shitty cameras, and I'm like, why the fuck is this so unfocused? It looks like a cheap commercial. Um, I'm like, I don't want all of our stuff to look like that, because even though it's really nice and high def, it does look cheap to me. It's weird. It gives off this like cheap vibe, and a lot of it is how they're lighting it too. But it frustrates me with some things that I feel like they're just not in focus enough. You know, we're using these like 4K, 6K, all these fucking fancy cameras and all this stuff on some of the shit, and I'm editing the footage and it looks like whatever. It looks like a regular either Sony FS5, or it looks like a fucking Lumix. Like, it don't look like anything special. Uh, and I realize it's because we need a guide to do the follow focus, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot. It's 'cause
Suppose
I've
we'll see.
seen people do stuff on a Lumix that was great or looked really
Oh, I love
nice.
them. They're easy to edit with. They're easy to work with. They look really good. We've been using. I was never into Sony's at all, and we've been using the past couple, just because the lenses that my guy has are like better than the camera. You know what I mean? They're like these really low light sensitive lenses. So we've been getting some really cool effects and colors without having to use a lot of lighting. So I've been getting off on that, and I was never a fan of Sony, but it's just been too easy because he already has all this Sony shit that goes with Sony shit. So it was like, okay, well, let's just do this one like that then. Fuck it. And it was like super easy. I'm like, huh, you know, because normally I feel like I'm always looking for the next like best camera that's came out to do the like next one. Um, I did Strange Toys and Cult of Blood with the FS7, and it's fucking, they look really cool. They look real colorful. And we got some really dynamic shots with some like kind of darker lighting. So who knows? Hopefully it all translates once it's compressed down and on the fucking on people's phones and TVs.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. Like I always notice that after I edit, depending on what I'm watching it on, it looks like so different. So I'll be like, oh, the colors looked good on Final Cut, but now it looks like shitty on my Dell, or like it looks different on my TV or phone. It's kind of annoying sometimes,
Right.
because it's hard to know what the baseline is.
Fuck yeah.
The
Fuck
sound
yeah,
too,
brother.
because I mastered with headphones and like it always sounds way better to me on the neutral headphones than later when it's on other things.
Yeah. Yeah, I've tried it so many different ways, and it was like I take it home and I'm testing it and demoing it out, and was just never satisfied. And then I started outsourcing my final sound mixes and like a 501 Adobe mix and all that bullshit to this guy. I believe he's in the United States. He wasn't when we started working together originally. He was somewhere in Norway or something, but he's over here in like North Carolina or something now. And I he it's not real cheap, but it's not as much as it should be. But like he has made like Protege Moi that's getting ready to come out. I mean, it sounds so good. Like now, I'm just like, yeah, this is part of my process. I'm making this guy touch it last, because it kind of guarantees that if someone puts it into surround sound, it's going to sound good. If someone listens to it in a movie theater, it's going to sound good. If someone listens to it at home, it's going to sound good. If someone watches it on their phone, it's going to sound good. Whereas when I was doing it, it's kind of like you take a gamble each time. Like it might sound good on something, it might sound fucking out of a trash can in the corner, out of another thing. So doing all the shorts that we did over the past couple years helped with a lot of that troubleshooting. And where I've ended up is I've gotten pretty decent at it, but then I still feel more confident and better about it, dumping it off on someone that's all they do, to kind of double check my work and to make it that universal kind of like I know it's going to work thing. That's helped a lot. So that's been worth the $300, $400, $500 or whatever it'll be in the long run for my sanity. I've just too many times I've been at like the premiere in the movie theater and it just either sounds fucking weird or something's off, like schematics wise. I just hate that feeling. So being able to push it off on someone else that is a professional at it, make them kind of responsible, makes me feel like, okay, even if we do catch something that's off, they're going to make it better. They'll fix it. And, you know, I could worry about color grading or whatever the next thing is. Because I've really jumped into that too. I've really been getting into that lately a lot too, is the color grading aspects and the editing and stuff.
Yeah, I've been into that. Like, I was trying a lot of different LUTs when I was doing this, and just different, messing around a lot with the color. You know, Final Cut has a lot of built-in stuff that's pretty fun.
Yeah, the colors are really vibrant on Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, I was trying to, like, you know, part of it when I was making it is because I started making it only using a GoPro, and then I kept having problems with the GoPro overheating, so I switched to like a Sony digital camcorder 1080p, and I really enjoyed using that. But like my main thing was like I was trying to do a process of like making a movie kind of like as easy with like a cheap camera, so that maybe like if it does well or people like it, then I could kind of like get other people who might be intimidated by making a movie to try my process, which is kind of like easier and more beginner friendly, you know, like kind of. So like I don't know, that was part of my like idea, I guess.
Yeah, that's great, dude. It's awesome to be able to set out and have an idea and be able to finish it in such a good way, you know. People don't do that, sadly. We take that for granted. Not a lot of people have that ability. They spend their whole life trying to do that with one thing. You're already done with your second, you know. So there's something to be said there. We're making movies and not everyone can. A lot of people, more and more people sure are trying lately, though. I noticed the past couple of years, and used to kind of make me feel disrespected or something, like, oh, I guess anyone can make a fucking movie, you know what I mean? But I've realized it doesn't matter what anyone else does. It matters what you do. And as cliche as that sounds, like, just fucking keep doing your thing and making your shit, because the right people are going to find it. It might be in our children's lifetime. You know what I mean? It might be in 2 months. So it's there, though. And the beauty of film is it's forever. And it's culture and it's art. And sometimes people don't understand that till, a little bit of time later. Got a question, one last question. Well, I got two final questions for you. I know we've been going for a while. The old man was all chatty, probably fucking didn't even know where he was for half of it. The old fucker's got dementia. Something I've been wanting to know. Wigwolf, why does the internet hate you? Why are they attacking you all the time? Every time I get on Twitter, there's some new thing where people are like, fuck this guy. And then you look into the people and they're like the weirdest, randomest creeps. Like, it's not even anyone of any merit. Like, so you're like, what do you mean? They're just stating things about you and then blocking you, I've noticed. And like, that's it. Like, that's their little world, their little Roman Colosseum. I don't get it. And it seems almost like they get off on it. It's like a game. It's not really very sincere. They're just choosing someone to kind of bully or pick on, because it's not just you. You know what I mean? These same kind of folks, and I don't know any of them. I just look at shit and click and see who they are and things like that. 3 or 4 of these people have a history of doing this to people. I'm like, this is the equivalent to bullying folks in fucking high school or something. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's part is because, like, how you're saying you notice that these people have a history of doing it is like, I like how I'll like notice it and then I'll like be like, oh, I'm gonna start like saying shit to this person, and then and then they target me because I like called them out, or I'll like fuck with them. But it's just mostly being immature, like trolling and saying dumb shit, and it's like, you're like one of the person I like they published some article and I literally wrote crap writing and they had like a 4-day meltdown over me saying crap writing, like, and said I was like stalking and bullying them. It's just like, like you might have an altercation online with someone who's very mentally disturbed and might say something stupid that most people, like if I called you like a piece of shit, you'd forget it. But then this person makes it their entire life. You know what I mean? It's like
Oh yeah,
being so thin skinned, they like go insane. It's like very bizarre.
They take it extremely personal because they have no personality.
Yeah.
They are only as thin as the little candy coating of their online persona. So I've noticed that too. It really, really gets to these people. Words, like I don't know. It's just funny. You can tell that they would never act that way in person. These same folks, they just get too comfortable and they feel like they're the leader of the cool club, or they got the hall pass, or someone gave them the cancel power. And yeah.
Yeah, it's just crazy. I mean, I've been canceled like probably 10 times pretty much by this same like group of like horror fan people, and it's just like, it's just like the same thing over and over, and it's just like, what do they want? Like, I mean, if I'm alive, I'll still be like trying to make little movies and do things. Like, they're not gonna like lock me away. Like, it doesn't make sense.
I'm pretty sure Victoria shunned me just for being friends with you. Like, I've
Yeah,
been trying to pay for an ad to advertise for them. I was talking to someone in sales, and then it was like, felt like they figured out who I was and have been giving me the cold shoulder. The sad thing with Fangoria is I was so excited when Dallas took it over. And then when he left it to whoever's been running it the past couple years, holy shit, it's turned so weird and liberal and like freaky, and like it's just you almost feel like you have to be into all that shit to be a horror fan nowadays, and that is not what horror is about. Horror is not about your fucking sexual relationship with anything. It's not about your religion. It's not about any of that shit. It's a place we go to escape politics and escape fucking that biology politics, body politics bullshit. It's where we go to escape all that. And I feel like there's been a real fucking the last 3 years, like a real huge push to make horror movie fans and like people who support all kinds of crazy liberal ideas like one and the same. It's just really bizarre to me that you liking horror movies now to a lot of these people is also a political stance. Like, what? It's
yeah.
just very weird. I feel like is leading that. Like, did you watch the last fucking awards?
No,
Holy
like
shit!
I
They were
just
just
figured it was
shoving it
gonna be
down your
awful.
throat, dude. It
I
was
mean,
like everything was just being shoved down your throat the whole time. It was incredibly heavy-handed, and it ain't like they just like was like we support this too, and some of our people are this too. They didn't. It wasn't just recognizing the lifestyle. It was making you feel like the entire thing was that. And then, oh, also we're gonna talk about some horror movies and give out some awards. Like, and it was just a huge shift change in the past like couple years with
yeah,
entertainment, especially horror entertainment.
I had no interest in that. I mean, especially because of my history with the editor, which I'm in a legal thing with him, so I can't really talk about it. But Like, yeah, I don't know. I just can't stand that. I mean, I noticed that too. And when Dallas was running it, it was cool, and I loved Cinestate. And like,
Yeah,
I don't really
incredible.
know what happened with that. Like, I
And
feel
he's
like
an
they got to back
incredible
down
guy. He's
because
a
of that
good
one
guy.
producer, Adam. He did shit, but like
Oh
Dallas
God.
didn't do
I'll
anything.
bleep I'll bleep his name. I'll bleep his name and Maria's name, but we'll keep Dallas in it because he's cool shit.
And like, yeah, I don't know. But the horror stuff, like, basically stopped thinking of myself as a horror fan years ago because of like how it was getting with like the horror fan scene. Like, I've been going to conventions since like '91. I'm going to Fangoria conventions, like in New York and LA, like even starting at 11, and it just was different. Like, horror fandom was like so much more chill back in the day. It was just different.
Yeah. You
Like, I
know,
used to go to the New York horror meetup, and you'd be in a group of like 50 people going to bars, going to watch horror movies, and everyone was chill. There was no politics, no like weird shit.
yeah, you were there for the love of movies, man. That was all that mattered. And everyone was accepted. You didn't have to be so heavy-handed with it. It's crazy. All right, final question. It's a dark, stormy night. You're walking down the back of an alleyway behind a closed-down strip club. A stray cat jumps out from beside a dumpster. You're startled. You back away and you step into a puddle. You look down into that puddle and you look at a reflection. Who's the man looking back at you? And what's he about? And what's his life's goal? What makes him tick? And what makes him the man that he is?
Oh, and the reflection in the puddle.
What do you see? Who's the man that you see in that puddle reflection?
Oh, just like in my imagination.
Who do you
Um,
see, brother, in yourself? In your own, you're looking at your own face in that reflection of that puddle, but what do you see when you look into it? Who
I
is that
feel like
man?
I see Casey Jones from Ninja Turtles.
This has been Wigwolf, the director of The Wet Ones, the director of the all-new 2023 The Wizard of Oz, soon to be out everywhere. Keep a lookout. Check out the Wet Ones on Plex and Tubi and a bunch of other streaming places. Wigwolf, it's been a pleasure.
All
I
right, it was nice
appreciate
talking to you, man.
Keep making art. Keep the haters. Grow your haters. When we interview you again, we expect you to be banned from fucking entire platforms and go from 100 haters to 1,000. That will be success, sir.